Hi all my crafty friends, and welcome back to Designs by Gaddis. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found my channel. Be sure to like this video and subscribe. By doing so, you will help others, just like yourself, be able to find my home decor DIY videos. Today, I will show you some of the new bathroom decor I have been putting together for my haul/guest bath. I used this Dollar Tree soap dispenser and made it look a little less blah. The first thing I did was spray the glass with rubbing alcohol to remove all the oils and dirt. Then I used a paper towel to rub it off. I created this cut file using Inkscape and then transferred it to Design Space so I could cut it out. I plan to start an Inkscape series this year. If you would like to learn how to use Inkscape to make your own cut files, I'll leave a link in the description so you can be notified when I start that series. I used transfer tape to apply the vinyl to the soap dispenser. I created a small bow using some buffalo plaid ribbon and used hot glue to attach it. And like I said, I'm in the process of creating new decor for my haul bath. Be sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of the projects that I'm putting together. And just look at how cute the soap dispenser turned out. And it took me less than 10 minutes to do. I used this Dollar Tree sign to create a cute bathroom sign. I used my square to cut off the bottom portion of the sign. I will be using a miter saw and cut the sign on the black line I just drew. I used a sanding block to remove the glitter from the sign. While I was removing the glitter, I realized the sanding sponge was also removing a lot of the color, which was great. I continued doing this until all of the glitter was gone and the board was smooth. After the glitter was removed, I took the board and cut it using a miter saw to remove the flag part at the bottom. I decided to paint the sign with black chalk paint first. I also painted the wood at the top of the sign black. I used my hot air gun to dry the paint. Then I taped off the top board and painted the rest of the sign with white chalk paint. I did use 2 coats of white chalk paint for an even coverage and used my hot air gun to dry everything. I used my X-Acto knife to cut where the paint met the tape and then remove the tape from the top of the sign. I used this Be the Change cut file I found on Design Bundles and applied it to the sign using transfer tape. I will leave a link to this cut file in the description below if you want to try your hand at this project. I then used my iron trick to heat up the vinyl and allow it to melt into the cracks and crevices of the sign. Be careful when you do this so you won't overheat and melt the vinyl. I don't know if you can see, but the vinyl has melted into the cracks and crevices of the wood just enough so it appears sort of hand painted. The next step was to add matte Mod Podge to the entire front of the sign. This will give your sign more of a finished look and it helps protect it. I added a piece of buffalo ribbon to the top of the sign so it would match the other items I've already made for my bath. I cut the ribbon down to size and then placed a small piece of tape to hold the center of the ribbon in place. I flipped the sign over and hot glued the ribbon to the back of the sign. And just look at how stinking cute this little sign turned out. Today I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful farmhouse beaded garland with a tassel. It's perfect to add a touch of farmhouse decor to your home. My favorite colors are black, gray, and white, so this beaded garland will look amazing in my home. This is a pretty simple DIY, and it's easy enough for a beginner to give it a try. The first thing I did was paint this little wood tag with Waverly Elephant chalk paint. I painted the front, back, and the edges. And I used my hot air gun to dry it quicker. Once I was finished with the elephant paint, I added a layer of ivory chalk paint. I used 2 coats of the ivory and again used my hot air gun to dry it. If you aren't using a hot air gun, you are really missing out. I got this one from Amazon a few months ago and I love it. It saves me so much time doing projects. I'll leave a link in the description for the hot air gun I use and recommend to anyone looking to purchase one. Once I was finished painting, I used a sanding block from Dollar Tree to rough up the edges and smooth out the paint. I used rubbing alcohol and a paper towel to remove the dust after I sanded. The rubbing alcohol dries pretty quick, that's why I use it instead of just water. I found this cut file in a bundle I purchased from Design Bundles and sized it down to fit my tag. I get most of my cut files from Design Bundles and recommend them for any project you may have in mind. The pricing is the lowest I can find and the files are amazing. If you get a bundle, you save a ton of money. They also have a ton of free cut files. I'll also leave a link in the description for Design Bundles. I transferred the vinyl onto the wood tag. I used 16mm and 14mm wood beads I got from Amazon. These natural wood beads are wonderful. I just love them. I used 11 16mm and 10 14mm for this project. I placed 5 of the 16mm beads on a skewer and painted them using the same Waverly Elephant paint I used on my tag. I then placed 6 of the 16mm beads onto another skewer and painted them with black acrylic paint. I placed all the 14mm beads on the skewer and painted them with the ivory chalk paint I had used on the tag. I again used my hot air gun to dry the beads quicker. To string the beads, I used a roll of what looked like kite string and began stringing them in a pattern. I'm running low on twine, but I would recommend using twine to string the beads if you have enough. The pattern I used was black, white, gray, white, and then repeated it until I was out of beads. This gave me a garland that is about 12 inches long. I used a piece of twine and ran it through the hole in my tag and then tied it onto the white string with the beads. I used a piece of ribbon and made a simple bow and glued it onto the twine. This helped to cover the white string I used for the beads. For the tassel, I used the same ribbon as I used for the bow and a thicker twine. I cut the ribbon and twine to create the tassel. I layered the tassel and then used a piece of thinner twine to tie the tassel in the middle to hold everything together. I then tied the twine to the white string with the beads. I used more of the thicker twine to create the top of my tassel. I glued the twine to the top of the tassel and then started wrapping it around the tassel until I was happy with the way it looked. When I was finished, I used a dab of glue to hold the tassel together. I then trimmed the tassel up so everything was the same length. Today I have a cute project for your bathroom, something that will entertain your guests while they're in there. I found this cute cut ball from Craft House. It was actually a free download. I will leave a link in the description below for this cut file. I wanted the picture to look like it was on wood slats. So I cut off the ends of a bunch of craft sticks from Dollar Tree. I'm still finding the ends all over my craft room. I used an 11 by 14 inch frame from Dollar Tree. I took the wrapping off and then removed the back. I used my hot glue gun to glue all the craft sticks onto the back of the frame. I staggered the sticks for more of a realistic look. After I had most of the sticks attached, I trimmed the edges, being careful so I wouldn't crack the sticks on the board. After cutting the bottom, I used the smaller pieces to fill in the bare spots of the board. I continued cutting the sticks until they were all the same size as the back of the frame. This is a good time to go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I had one stick that just wouldn't fit, so I added hot glue to fill it in. I tried to apply the hot glue at the same height as the sticks. After the glue dried, it was time to paint all the craft sticks. I used ivory chalk paint and painted the entire front of the boards. I then used my hot air gun to dry the paint quicker. And it did take 2 layers of chalk paint to cover the boards evenly. I cut and weeded the cut file. I had to use an oversized mat since this was such a large file. It measured over 11.5 inches, which means you can't cut it on a regular mat. Since this was such a large cut, I removed the paper from the top only and applied it to the sign. I slowly worked my way down and across using this method. By doing this, I didn't have to worry about the vinyl not laying right or having part of the vinyl stick in places I didn't want it. I think it's time to change my knife and my Cricut. I had a really hard time trying to get the vinyl off the paper. Some of the letters just didn't want to work with me, and I think it is because my knife has gotten dull. I could not tell you the last time I changed it. And I finally got the vinyl onto the sign. I used my iron to heat up the vinyl and work it into the cracks and crevices of the wood. I do this trick with all my wood and vinyl projects. Next, I inserted the back into the frame. I left the glass part of the frame in the frame because I wanted people to be able to mark the words they found using a dry eraser pen. I just thought it would be fun to be able to mark on the glass and then wipe it off as needed. I had a dry erase marker and decided to attach it to the frame. I used a piece of twine and placed a dab of hot glue to the lid of the pen. I wrapped the twine around the pen several times and then secured the end with hot glue. I left a long piece of twine so it would hang from the frame and still have enough room to mark on the frame. I applied some hot glue directly to the frame to hold the twine. I then placed the end of another piece of twine on top of the string and began wrapping it around itself. I felt like this would hold the pen and the twine better. I decided the frame needed something else to decorate it a little. I decided to make a small messy bow because that's the only type of bow I can do. I cut several pieces of black and white ribbon and twine down to size. I layered them and then tied them in the middle with another piece of twine. I realized the bow was larger than I really wanted, so I cut it down until I was happy with the size. And then I glued it to the top of the little circle I had made. This was a really fun project, and I'm sure my guests are going to enjoy playing this while they're in my bathroom. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. I upload weekly home decor DIY videos, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. So go ahead and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting!